Hello, everybody. Welcome to our show. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone is having a great summer. It's been super busy in the market. There's a lot of movers and shakers, and we've seen a lot of activities. Um, we're so grateful to put on this show for you today. So thankful for coming in, for you to stop in. I know summer gets a little bit busy, so thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Robert O'Keefe. I am the creator and founder of Over 55 NJ, and our mission is to help people make educated decisions when it comes to downsizing. So, the reason we set up this site with you in mind is we kind of reverse engineered the customer journey, right? A lot of people start online. Nobody just says they have to move right away unless something tragic happens, right? Moving is one of the most challenging things we have to undertake. I think I was reading the other day that death, divorce, and moving are some of the most stressful things a person can exhibit in their life. But we find that thankfully, if you have a plan in place and if you're well researched, moving, it's always a little bit of a work. Let's be real. It's always a little bit stressful, but it doesn't have to be that stressful once you have a plan in place and once you really know what you're doing. So we're firm believers in getting started ahead of time. Our topic today is going to revolve around timing, but we're going to give you some tips and some questions to ask yourself in advance on figuring out when the best time is to downsize for you. So we have a lot of actionable tips today. If you want to join our Facebook group, we welcome you to do that. You can network with us and also some other seniors that are kind of looking around different communities. Our Facebook group, you can go online, type it into your search bar on your computer or your phone, is over55nj.group. That will take us right to the Facebook group. If you want to go online on our website and search for homes, our website is over55nj.homes. That will bring you up to all the 55 plus community sites. Send us an email too at over55nj@gmail.com, and we could respond to you directly as well. But I wanted to say too, we were working today with someone who was open to both 55 plus communities and condo solutions. This person was actually looking for her parents and they were open to both solutions. So I want to say just because our site is called Over 55 NJ doesn't mean we don't handle all types of real estate. It's very common actually for someone to come to us. They weigh the pros and cons of 55 plus communities and different areas. And they say, hey, maybe it may not be for me, or maybe, a condo would suit me just fine, right? A condo is one level, a condo is less maintenance. Why should I limit myself to 55 plus communities? So there's a lot of options like that, long story short. So today we're going to get into a topic of basically when the right time to downsize is. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. This video will also be recorded. So downsizing in today's market, what seniors should know right now. So one question we get that's pretty common is now a good time to downsize? And so inevitably, we always say you got to control what you can. Control the controllables is what we say. So it doesn't really matter if now is the right time or not. What the time, as cliche as it sounds, we always say the timing should be right when you feel you're ready. So New Jersey is very fortunate. There's strong demand, there's sustained demand in this market where you can't really go wrong either timing or not timing the market correctly, right? There's always going to be buyers in New Jersey. It's a very densely populated state. There's a lot here with proximity to New York City, the shore points. We have some exciting metro cities that are developing with a lot of great things to do. So there's just like a lot of demand in this state where you're really not going to really mess up too much, really timing something. So we always say to try to ignore the noise when it comes to the market. You can kind of finagle it too, working with us, because we're always hunting for the best deal for you, where you could buy smart and just not kind of like negate whether it's a good time in the market or a bad time in the market. But long story short, the timing of the market doesn't really matter. A lot of times people ask us, how's the market? And it really depends based on what you're looking for. We're seeing overall a lot more inventory in today's market, but that inventory has a very short shelf life. So that inventory is selling out pretty rapidly, which continues to push prices up in the market. So the best thing you could do if you're thinking about timing something is start getting research and start planning ahead. The story I was telling you today about the person, that move is not imminent at all. If I was to put a crystal ball on it, that move would probably happen in 2 or 3 years from now. So the best timing move you can make is start getting ahead early. Start going on our website and start doing some research ahead of time. That's the best move I can give you when it comes to timing. And then the right timing will take care of itself. And especially if you have a plan in place, you're going to get some really great value for yourself. So, that being said, let's go into the top three things seniors should know about downsizing in today's market. So, tip number one is focus on the entire move and not just your sales price. So, many times there's a couple different moving pieces when it comes to a move. A lot of individuals have houses to sell, so we do a consultation on that. We start preparing ahead of time. We come through your house. We can either do this virtually or in person. And we break down a list of everything you have to do, everything you should do, and some things you could do. So we were just pricing out a house and we gave a punch list of things the owner must do, declutter and depersonalize, get this out of here, get that out of there. On the should do list, there was power washing. So that's easy. You just get a power washer. This person actually could borrow a power washer from a neighbor. So that was an easy job. Amazing what a difference that does. And a could do list we gave him was stage this area he had. He had this place in his yard. It was like a planter almost with bricks around it. Kind of a little hard to describe. I would have to show you a picture. But this is something we recommend that you could stage as a fire pit for a younger buyer. People with younger families, they love fire pits. That's the millennial generation for you. So the point is every house is different, and we kind of give you just kind of a baseline and some things to think about when it comes to your house. So downsizing is really, there's a few moves in mind, and every situation is different. So it's selling your current home, which we do a great job of in advance. And just because you contact us doesn't mean this move has to be imminent. A lot of times it's very informal, their first meeting, where we just do a meet and greet. We meet you, we go over the market conditions, and then we'll come back a second time later on at your convenience and go through the numbers and the valuation. So again, that doesn't have to be imminent of a move. That could happen really anytime. And then the next thing we do is put together a plan for your next home. So we're working with another couple right now. They're thinking of putting their home on the market. Their listing actually expired on the MLS the first time from the first agent that had it. And the reason that is they didn't have a firm plan in place and a firm vision of where they wanted to go. So the agent just kind of candidly botched the listing, overpriced it, the home expired, but also there wasn't a plan in place for where they wanted to go. So imagine how stressful that is. You have your home for sale, you have buyers coming through your home, but you don't know where you're going. So that's kind of just like the opposite of what we do is we want to begin with the end in mind and start planning ahead of time. Just even if you don't have if you need money, financial proceeds for your home or you need a pre-approval, you don't really have to have that in place. But what's key and what's really essential is to have a vision and a criteria of what you have in mind first before you start to do anything. And the challenge is a lot of people just don't know where to start with that. So it's really beneficial to start talking to us, getting on our website, starting to get some ideas, starting to narrow down some searches. So at least you could start doing some research and figuring out what you like. So key there. So the biggest tip we have is evaluate the entire move and not just one side of the transaction, and begin with the end in mind and figure out the destination first. Now, as simple as that sounds, a lot of people sometimes don't think about that. And a lot of agents are inexperienced and don't know how to prepare ahead or are not willing to do the work with the customer to figure that out. And it's always work. Every customer is different. Everybody has different needs and goals. So it's a process that's repeated many, many times over. But it's what we like, and it's what we like to do. So we would love to hear your plan at your convenience. Now, let's go into the next tip here. is preparation matters more than ever. So, because there is more inventory, pricing and presentation takes a paramount forefront. So, especially the pricing, you definitely want to get your price right. It's very common for people to want to overprice their homes. Although I was speaking to a seller where I wanted to price it higher and they were willing to go lower. So there are these different conversations that are had to be had. Not everybody wants the highest price. Some people want more of a seamless sale and more competition. But the key point is in a market where there's higher inventory and some markets across New Jersey that are balancing out, it's so key to balance it to price the property correctly. And we're seeing markets, particularly in Hudson County, that are balancing out more, meaning the market is kind of just like a little bit flat. It's not a seller's market where things are flying off the shelves in less than 30 days. So it's very key to understand what market you're in, baseline that with the rest of the New Jersey market, and come up with a detailed plan based on the individual property and the property's strengths. So we're pricing a property out where there's kind of like a big marsh in the back, but we're kind of not just selling the house, but we're selling what the house could be. And we're basically kind of doing a rendering of what that yard could be if you redid it and showing that the customers and the buyers have a quarter more acre. So every property is different. Every property takes some thought and some preparation. And you really want to get ahead of this, and preparation matters more than ever. So we do that on two fronts. One is we give, like I said, the in-person consultation. It's usually just a real informal meeting where we just walk through the house first. No agent can price a home without seeing it first. So this way you get to meet us. And this way, you get a feel for each other, see if it's a fit. And also I get to take a look at your home. And then we schedule the follow-up meeting where we talk about valuation plan and things you would have to get together. And like I said, earlier in the presentation, it doesn't have to be imminent of a move. So presentation matters from that standpoint. And then being well researched, planning for the end in mind, planning for the destination, setting up safe searches, eliminating areas. So usually it starts with a broad search. The person I was speaking to today wanted a single level home, but I suggested let's get a broad search in mind, start to narrow down communities and cross them out from there. And then once we start crossing things out, it's basically a process of elimination. The search becomes a lot more simpler and a lot easier. But that comes from just being methodical, using our technology, and also leaning on us as a human resource to go step by step and to start getting closer to the goal. So a tip is start preparing your home before it's ready to list. We give you a punch list of things to do ahead of time. And as always, we recommend starting early because a lot of this stuff does not happen overnight. And planning early gives you more options and less stress. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to be under stress. God forbid a tragedy happen or you're under the gun, then you really have to start to get moving. But if you start thinking about these things ahead of time, your future self is going to thank you. Now we're going to go into our final tip here. I want to say thanks again for everyone for stepping on today. It really means a lot to us. Lifestyle timing is often more important than market timing. So stairs become harder, maintenance becomes more demanding, travel becomes more difficult, and the home no longer fits your lifestyle. So very, very common. A tip we give you is always think 5 years in advance. We help a lot of people sell their homes where they buy a second level, a walk up, but then, God forbid they had a tragedy. Some people get hurt and some people age just faster than others. So think further in advance than what you're ready for. We're helping another individual today. He has a lot of family cross country, and essentially he's all by himself here in New Jersey. And he's thinking about his age. He's a little bit, he's getting older now, and he's just worried that if something happens to him or if he has a medical emergency, he's not really going to have the support he needs. So this is very, very important. And you always want to be thinking in advance because the longer you wait and the faster you age. My grandfather always said it's the ravages of aging, and things could accelerate faster than what you're ready for. Now, obviously, we're not trying to scare anybody, but when you're, the key is to kind of think 5 years ahead and start to go before you're ready and start to imagine what that would look like. because the sooner you can get ahead of things, the better off you'll be. And even if you don't have to move imminently, at least you'll have that knowledge base and a plan in place. So in case something did happen, God forbid, you could pull the trigger quickly and you could say, okay, here are my options. I know this is a good opportunity. We have everything in place and we could start getting the ball rolling. So lifestyle timing is always more important than the market timing, especially with a niche type of move like this. Always put yourself first and don't really worry so much about the market. If you're well prepared, you know what you're doing, you have a plan in place, that's going to trump any market condition. Tip is ask yourself if the market stayed exactly the same for the next 2 years, would I still want to move? The market generally stays the same in New Jersey across the board, and having a plan in place is going to just trump any market condition. Um, so that being said, yep, we can help you out. We'll reach out to you, Virginia, on that. And yeah, this is I'm not going to read the comment, but it's an example of someone that um, yeah may have a need to move there, based on lifestyle conditions. Um, so that being said, we want to say thank you so much. We gave you a lot of great tips today. This meeting will be recorded. If you want a copy of the transcript and a copy of the clip notes, we're happy to provide that for you. If you want individual questions about your situation, feel free to reach out to us. You can either write a comment in the comment section below, or feel free to send us a direct message. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. If you have a topic that you'd like covered, we'd love to hear that as well. We always are grateful for you to step on and grateful to hear your feedback. And we want to make this group about you. So feel free to reach out with any questions. We'd love to hear from you. And we look forward to connecting with you soon. We'll see you next week. Hope you're having a great summer. And thank you so much for watching.